You know, I do dream shapes and stuff. I don't dream objects. I have very abstract dreams, which is probably why I like making images. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming and see my and Ewan's show, Pattern Language. This show was put together by Chris Keatley, who's the curator of the gallery. So we're going to start over here. We're going to go time-wise through some of the work that I've got here. So we're going to start with these two smaller pieces here, and these are from 2018, and these are assembled paintings. So for these paintings, I make smaller paintings on 300-pound paper, and I cut them all up. I rearrange them in a pattern that I've devised that has some sort of musical rhythm to it. A lot of my work has horizontals in it that actually represent Venetian blinds, because Venetian blinds mean you're at a window and you're looking at something as opposed to something just being there. So it's a way of activating the view. And these were done shortly after Greg and I spent 2 months in India, and anything I ever thought I knew about color just went out the window in India, and patterns. So I went a little crazy with these and just having fun. So most of my work's very process-oriented, and when I say my work is process-oriented, it means I decide on the process before I do the work. And it doesn't mean I know what the piece is going to look like. I set a process in motion, and then I just go with it. So this whole series of these hexagonal things is called Star Gardens. And it started in 2020 for Persian New Year, which is Nowruz. We do a name draw in our family because most of that part of our family is Baha'i, and they're from Persia. And so I got my niece's name. She lived in Seattle. How am I going to send her a Nowruz gift? So I thought I'll just do a little drawing. And I just did a drawing with a bunch of overlapped circles, and they all made little flowers. And I found out afterwards that arrangement of circles is actually called the flower of life. So it's quite interesting. It's a very traditional set of circles with 19 circles. So I just started making more and more elaborate pieces, and they were getting bigger and bigger, and this is a full-size one. So I did 4 this size. There came off a roll of paper, and what I didn't realize when I made them, this paper is 42 inches wide, and museum plexi and glass and everything comes 40 inches wide. So when I went to get these framed for an exhibit at the Culch, they cost $2,000 each for me, wholesale to frame, because it's museum plexi, so it's oversized plexi. So I went from these to paintings. But anyways, we can talk about these 3 pieces. So this piece is just not representing anything. I was just having fun with shapes and tying them together and just seeing what happens. You know, you take an idea and you run with it. So this piece is called Jerusalem, and I started this in May of 2021. And in May of 2021, the Israel government, through the courts, was evicting 5 families from a part of Jerusalem that they lived in, and it set off a real war. The war went for 11 days. 17 Israelis were killed, and 286 Palestinians, and 72,000 Palestinians were displaced as a result of this war. So what I did with this piece is, after doing the piece here, I realized you can take these circles and you can do all sorts of things with them. So literally, I just draw a whole field of circles first, and then I made the Israeli flag just by joining certain lines together. And then, so this little pattern in here, this is actually called the flower of life, but it goes throughout the whole thing. And in the Palestinian parts, which are, this is Palestinian flag all through here. It's finer grained, and it's more organic colors. And in the Israeli flag, it's all silver, gold, and copper, so inorganic colors. And I just wanted to compare the strength of the people that in charge. and just the way they sat on the land. And one thing I did is these patterns you would think would all line up, but I've offset them all. So they're all the same pattern, but they're all offset by half a design in two directions, two of the three directions. Okay, this piece here is called interconnectedness. And in a lot of my pieces, not too many that are here today, I use rainbow colors, which of course is gay flag, rainbow, biodiversity, human diversity. And this was just everything. It was a process experiment to see how big or small I could make a set of double rings and have them all interconnect. And these drawings, I have to say, take a really long time. Like lots of them are 200 or 300 hours. So to do this, I had to drew the whole thing in pencil. Then I had to erase all the under overlaps, decide what they were, erase them all, try to be somewhat consistent. You can't be completely consistent because it is all hand done. And then I erased each circle, like just one circle, and then painted it. And then, because if you erase more than one, you can't see where they overlap or under over. Yeah, so you just erase one little bit at a time and then paint it. I did sell one of these. There was one more. It was a lattice of marble and metal, mostly gold metal. And in the background was blood red, bright red, with a gold string, just random string lying in it. And it was thinking about Meng Meng Zhou in House Remand in Shaughnessy. And it was called Shaughnessy Remand. And someone bought that right away. So the price isn't too much for some people. So after this, I just said, oh, question.
So this is not done by a pen. You've painted that with a paintbrush?
No, that's with a paint in a pen.
Okay.
So I mix a paint in the cartridge of the pen. You know, 2 drops of this, 3 drops of that, 4 drops of water.
You're insane, you know.
Yeah, totally.
But the product is.
So then I decided to go to oil on canvas, just to get away from the framing. So because I use a ruler and straight edge and compasses and things, I had to stretch the canvas on plywood so I can work flat on my hands and knees. Again, I didn't plan very far in ahead, but I was thinking of spring thaw, and leaves still on the ground. So there's this kind of ice, and the grass is turning green, and there's little daisies, and all the little daisies are different shades of pink, depending on how they line up. And then there's tulips without anthers. And the tulips are the only thing I use a stencil for, and I just used it for this off that edge line. So that's called printemps, or spring in French. Before I did the silver, then I put it on a stretcher. Then I could paint the silver and go right over the edge. And you can see in this one, partway through, I thought I was doing something else. Some of these leaves have different designs on them. So it's planned ahead, but it's all in the execution. You just make all those decisions. Otherwise, it would be so boring to do the work. If you decide what it's going to look like before you start, you may as well not do it. Now we're up to 2023, and I call this a color wheel. It's still a Star Garden. They're all very contemplative and meditative to work on. You just get in the zone and you go. This was drawn with a compass, but it's all painted by hand. I mean, again, I use a sable brush. I get the paint exactly the consistency. It basically can only be one consistency. If it's too thick, it doesn't come off the brush, and if it's too thin, it doesn't cover. So this is a color wheel in the same sense that anything makes sense to me. So there's in the center, if you start in the center, there's yellow, green, blue, purple, red, orange, yellow. So each color has 6 circles. So yellow, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've rotated all 6 circles 5 times to get this whole overall pattern. And then I filled in, so I did that, then I colored the edge, then I filled the color. Then I started filling in these colors, and I just thought, if I just mix the colors together, it's just going to go to mud. So as soon as I got away from this very outer edge, so the primary mixes, I added more and more white. So it's like a color wheel, but it's kind of a play on a color wheel because it's a little bit twisted, and the colors are all, even on the edge, all appear in 2 places. But if you can really wrap your head around it, it might be hard to do. All the colors in this circle have blue in them. All the colors in this circle have red in them. Same all the way to here. All the colors in this circle have purple in them. So one thing that's a little bit fun is these circles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all have all the colors in them. So they're all the same. And the center is the same, but it's lighter because it's in the center. And that's actually the same color that's on the edge. And this piece really, to me, sings in different kinds of light, especially these lighter yellow and green circles. In some lights, they just glow. It has this usually sits above my desk, and it's a happy place to have it there. And then this is the last of the big paintings, and this is called Unicorn Sighting, because this is when the Republicans were really gaining steam in the summer of 2023. And I always think of unicorns as being part of the woke culture, and that all the woke people like unicorns, and the non-woke people maybe not so much. And again, I'm playing with rainbow, but a little bit differently. And I've made the red target. So sighting is like in the sight of a gun. I could have put an X in the middle, but I didn't. And I had played with, in my studio, there's all these strips of color that I've made, going from one color to another, trying to figure out all the different fades and stuff. So I chose the colors I was going to use, but I had no idea how they were going to sit together when I put it together, because I just went according to a formula in my head. So again, I didn't know what it was going to look like till it happened, and it's kind of fun. And again, I didn't do any of these edge colors. Like this I did, but not this color till it was stretched. So it was on plywood up to that point, and then so all these colors that go over the edge were all done after it was stretched. For the crawl every year, I like to make something that people can afford to buy. So I was taking like the center of that woke painting, and I've been playing with triaxial weaving for a number of years. It's very complicated. So what I figured out, if you take a sheet of paper and just cut slits in it in the right place, you can run other slits through it. So the real fun part of this was figuring it out, but the other part is there are 3 colors of cubes. So you would think there's 9 colors. But actually, one side of every cube is the same color as the background. So it's fun just finding 6 colors that will do that aren't obvious, but that give that reading the cube. So, and that it can be either with strips coming out the front, or all the strips behind. Some people like this better because they can see the process. It's more evident in the finished piece. So like this red piece goes all the way through, right? The purple piece goes all the way through. And same going the other way. These lighter pieces go all the way through. just a fun little exercise. Requires precision. I'm a very meticulous person. My studio can be quite a mess, but the work is. So this piece is a triptych that I did actually this year. But I do, this is my idea of doing a sketch for something like this. It's where I can take, on a small block, I can take color ideas or overlap ideas or the arrangement of circles. So I came up with this grid just around Christmas last year. And yeah, just playing with different ways of putting these. So it's like three hexagonal grids that are completely interlocked. And then I've just played with how they're arranged or how the color flows through them. And then when Chris Keatley, the curator here, picked three pieces he wanted to go together in the show. And then Ewan made a piece to screw them all together on the back so they'll hang on the wall properly. And I put them all together and I thought, oh, I don't like them. So I repainted two of them from scratch.
Did Chris notice?
What?
Did Chris even notice?
No. But I would have noticed if they weren't that way. So I just wanted the red to be continuous all the way throughout, or the yellow all the way throughout, and the blue all the way throughout. But just shows with little subtle variation how much incredible different look you can get. And it's been a great experience being here, being in this exhibit.
In what way?
Just how much feedback I've had, and
How long's it here for?
it's here till May 30th. So it comes down next Saturday at noon. Yeah, so it's up for 4 weeks. So that's a good long run with a lot of exposure. There are not very many spaces in Vancouver that have this much light. He consistently puts on good shows here.